So welcome to Bangkok, and I know what you're thinking, 45 minutes is a long time for a YouTube video, but that is less than the average running time of a regular documentary, so maybe think of it like that. This is a big district, there's a lot to see, there's a lot to do, loads of places to explore, lots of great stuff to film, as well as a bit of interesting history and a lot to talk about, so trust me, it's going to be worth it. So grab yourself a cold drink, put your feet up and enjoy. So my first time here in Bangkok, I've just got off the Skytrain. This is Sukhumvit Road, and I wanted to have a walk up and down, get a few first impressions of the neighbourhood. So which route should I take? I'm going to go straight up about 500 metres, cross the road, back down the other side, and then back round to here. So this is a private road that leads to the Royal Navy Golf Club, but you can cut through to Soi Lasal, and up there you've got Bangkok Wing Chun. This is a place some of you might be interested in. You've got the Royal Navy Golf Club, which looks like a nice place to have a few rounds, but if you don't play golf you could have a few rounds in the bar if they'll let you in. And you've also got the Royal Navy Shooting Range. Not sure if you've got to be a member, but if you're ex-Special Forces, I'm sure you could blag your way in and show them a few tricks. Well, this is as far as I'm walking down Sukhumvit Road, because any further than Bering BTS station and I'm officially outside the city, because this is where the borderline is between Bangkok and Samut Prakan. This is Lasal intersection. It's where Soi Lasal meets Sukhumvit, of course, and Soi Lasal is a shortcut to Si Nakarin Road. Well, it's a shortcut if you're driving. If you're walking, it's about 9 kilometers. Around the BTS station, you've got the night market on one side, and I heard the band rehearsing earlier on. They sounded pretty good. On the other side of the station, you've got St Andrew's International School. Looks like the kids are in the middle of a PE class. And then back towards Bang Na on the left hand side, you've got a wall about 200 meters long with just street art and graffiti. And as you know, I do like a good bit of graffiti. Well, you can't miss the tall white building by the Skytrain station. This is the Thai Meteorological Department, and they've been officially forecasting the weather since 1942 when they were founded. This building dates back to 1972, and there's a smaller round building next to it with a white ball on top of it. That's the Thai Meteorological Museum and Learning Centre. And I was going to go in and have a look around, but I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. And I'm joking, of course. Sadly, it's actually been closed for the last 5 years. Well, you can't miss it on the left-hand side as you're pulling into Bang Nah BTS station. This is BTEC, and it's a huge exhibition, conference and event space. They've also got an arena for concerts. In terms of history, I can't really tell you much about it apart from it was opened in 1997. Anyway, I've been filming around here about 8 days and I thought I can't not go in and have a look around. So I checked the schedule. There are no conventions or trade fairs going on at the moment. So we're going to be walking around a big empty venue. So 40 years ago, there were big plans to make Bang Nah this future model satellite city by the 1990s, but development was slow and it never really happened. And a few political issues and the Asian financial crisis in the 90s didn't help either. But I don't think they realized in the 80s that Bangkok would expand this far out, because now in 2024, this is very much part of Bangkok. Bang Nah's main hub is the intersection. This is where Sukhumvit Road meets Sanpawat Road and Bang Nah Trap Road, the gateway to Chonburi and the shortcut to Suvarnabhumi Airport. And in the past, this area used to get so gridlocked that they ended up building a flyover and then an expressway over the top. In the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a lot of development going on around this intersection. There are 4 corners here with lots of empty land available for development. So I'm going to grab my crystal ball, visit each of the 4 corners and do a bit of speculating about the future. So we're going to kick off on the southwestern corner, and I thought I'd have a quick look around Bang Nah intersection market as we're here. And as you can see, it's like most fresh markets you'll find around Thailand. They all sell the same kind of thing. You've got a community that live around the market in the square. They've been established for over 50 years. And then round on Sanpawat Road, you've got a few shops and businesses been around the same amount of time. And in the evening, you get lots of street food stalls setting up here. Now, I can't see much land that would be available to be developed on this corner, so I reckon this will stay exactly as it is. At least half the land on the northwest corner is in darkness underneath the flyovers, and it is pretty grim under there. You've got stray dogs, dumped garbage, dumped cars. It's prone to flooding, and there is a community living under there temporarily at the moment. There is a big piece of land here out in front, but I can't see them building anything here like a condo, because it's pretty much in no man's land surrounded by roads. The land is owned by the Expressway Authority of Thailand, and they have built urban pocket parks underneath flyovers around the city. So that's probably what will happen here. This big piece of land will be greened over with park benches. They'll probably build a little lake with a fountain. Hopefully they'll keep the tree. And then underneath the flyover, you'll have fitness machines, a basketball court, aerobics in the evenings. And it'll be a great place to come and get fit if you don't mind the pollution. Well, here on the northeastern corner, just behind me, you can see the construction going on for the Bangkok Mall, and that's going to be part of a complex that has a hotel and a music venue called the Bangkok Arena. Next to that is the Sky Condo, and there's a banner on the side of it that says close to the Bangkok Mall, which was obviously a selling point when they built it. And if you move there hoping to do a bit of shopping, then you may well be waiting for another 3 or 4 years. If you're living in the Sky Condo, You will at the moment have unobstructed views of Sukhumvit Road, the Skytrain and the intersection, but probably not for much longer, because there's a big patch of land in front of it where no doubt they will build another couple of condos. Well, some of you may have seen this on my Skytrain history video. I talked about a junction they built on the BTS Sukhumvit line that would take trains directly to Suvarnabhumi Airport, which would be really convenient because you wouldn't have to endure the airport rail link. Anyway, that junction is just up here behind me, and sadly it is now redundant because the Silver Line will cover that route, and that station will be just down the road around the corner. So further down on the corner here, you've got a branch of Bangkok Bank with this very unique, pretty architecture. I do like that. And then next to that, you've got an animal hospital and a few other shops. And I think if the Bangkok Mall project wanted these buildings gone, they would have already been demolished. So I think they're going to stay. And then further down Bang Na Track Road, you've got the future location of the BMA Silver Line terminal station. And these trains will link the area to Suvarnabhumi Airport. Bang Na minibus station definitely fits the definition of a hidden gem, because it is pretty much hidden away down there under the intersection, and it is very useful if you want to get to Chonburi, Pattaya, Sattahip down the eastern seaboard in a lot faster time than if you got the bus from Ekamai. And I remember many years ago when I first took the bus from Ekamai to Pattaya, I used to think Bang Na was about halfway, because the bus would leave Ekamai bus station and then sit in a traffic jam on Sukhumvit Road for at least an hour before it got to Bang Na, and then headed down Bang Na Track Road away from the traffic, where it was about another hour to Pattaya. And you couldn't just check your location on your smartphone in those days, and it wasn't until a year later that I looked at a paper map and saw that Bang Na was just outside Bangkok. But if I'd have known back then that I could have come straight here and took a minibus in half the time, then I would have come here instead. But getting to Bang Na in 2001, pre-Skytrain, would have probably taken me well over an hour, so no point really. Bang Na intersection, also the hub of rats, which is why I'm up on this bridge here, safely away from all those pesky rodents. Where's all the cats when you need them? Anyway, this is the southeastern corner, and there's lots of old warehouses on this corner that have been derelict for the last 25 years or so. And as soon as a developer comes in with the right offer, no doubt they will all be razed to the ground, as will these old shop houses that front onto Bang Na Track Road, most of which are derelict anyway. And the only building I can see surviving here is the cubic Bang Na Hotel. So a lot of development and investment coming into Bang Na, Samut Prakan, down the eastern seaboard. So a lot of companies and businesses will of course need office space near to the centre of the city within easy reach. So the southeastern corner, I think, will become home to a huge office complex. Well, that's what my crystal ball tells me anyway. So Bang Na intersection, lots of development to come in the next 5 to 10 years, which is a far cry from this 1979 diagram that was drawn up to illustrate the future expressway that would be built. And on this diagram, there's a couple of buildings that are still here today. You can see the temple that's up by the Skytrain and the Bangkok intersection market and community that is still going strong today. You've got the old warehouses on the corner, and then on the northeastern corner, you've got the Bangkok Bank. So this here is Sanpawat Road. It goes from the intersection to the Chao Phraya River, and there you can get a ferry across the river to an island that I'll tell you about a little bit later on. So it's 3 kilometres from here to the river. I'm going to start walking it, see if there's anything interesting worth filming or telling you about. If not, I will approach a motorbike taxi and I will say to him, in the words of the legendary Al Green, "Take me to the river." Politely, of course. We're on the Chao Phraya River here, and there's lots of big ships going by because Klong Toi Port is just a little bit further up. And I can see a cruise ship on its way down, so hopefully we might get that on camera. Anyway, there was a ferry that goes from Bang Na Pier across to an island that some of you might be familiar with. So the ferry takes you across to Bangkok Chau Island, also known as the much celebrated Green Lung of Bangkok. And I like going this way because you get to see a part of the river you'd never normally see, the industrial side of the Chao Phraya River. And there's lots of big ships going by. There you can see the towers of the Bangkok oil refinery. Notice there is no orange paint splashed on those towers, which means the Just Stop Oil mob haven't yet got to Thailand. You also get a glimpse of Klong Toi Port. The crossing takes about 10 minutes and you pay 5 baht at the turnstile just after you get off the ferry. Well, as you probably know, Bangkok Chau Island is also known as the Green Lung because there's lots of trees and greenery here that suck up a lot of CO2, pollution and toxins from the atmosphere. And that's great because we're right near the big city and we're also opposite Klong Toi Port, where you've got lots of big ships coming in and out all day. Now, a few months ago in a video, I said that Bangkok Chau Island is overrated, and if you wanted a bit of green space, you're better off going elsewhere in the city. And a few people called me out in the comments about that and said, oh, you're just a negative hater. But let's just say this island isn't the environmental paradise or the eco-wet dream it's made out to be. And if you come here expecting that, then you definitely won't be shooting your load. So one thing a lot of people do when they come here is rent a bicycle, and it's a great way to get around the island. There's lots of concrete walkways that are raised up. But what becomes apparent very quickly is that you have to keep stopping for motorbikes who want to get by from both directions, and that does become annoying after a while. And at some point you will have to negotiate the main road on the island as well, and the cars drive pretty fast. There's a lot of sharp bends, so I think if you want to cycle on Bangkok Island, stick to the botanical gardens, and the best way to get around and see the hidden parts is to go on foot. We've been here about 6 hours and we've been through lots of little neighbourhoods. We've seen plenty of wildlife, and there is a very kind old lady who allowed us to film her in her boat going around. She's doing a bit of weeding. Well, I've just totally made this up off the top of my head. Next time you come to Bangkok, you've got to do the Skywalk challenge, and that is to walk the Skywalk from the BTS station. It goes all round the intersection in almost a circle, and then you come back to the BTS station. If you can do it in under 12 minutes, then your level of fitness is very good. So I'm going to try that to a piece of music. My evening walk got hijacked by a pack of dogs. So I had some cat food, so I gave them that and they were happy. 3 more dogs came, so as you can see in the video, there was all of them surrounding me. And 2 of them actually followed me back here, so that's cute. People often ask me, am I scared of dogs since I got bitten last year? And the answer to that is no, because when I got bitten last year, it sneaked up behind me, I didn't hear it and I didn't see it. So my relationship with dogs hasn't changed one bit. I still prefer cats, but I also love dogs. A couple of minutes ago when I was filming down here by the cast iron buffaloes, I disturbed a homeless guy who was about to stretch out and go to sleep. So I did the right thing. I gave him a couple of hundred baht for the inconvenience, and he said he would rather sleep there out in the open than this old building opposite because it's haunted. It's an old police station that was abandoned about 5 years ago and no one dares go near it. So I thought I would go and investigate, see if I can get in there, take a few pictures, and hopefully I won't get hit by a plate thrown by a poltergeist, or God forbid, bitten by Dracula. So the end of my 7th day filming and exploring here in Bang Na, and I thought I'd give you a quick assessment. A couple of things I've noticed. One of them is that there aren't that many foreigners around here, and some of you may like that if you're looking for a new potential area to move to. And one of the most common questions I get asked is, can I recommend somewhere to live where there aren't many foreigners about? And Bang Na is certainly one of those areas, although I shouldn't be recommending that you all come and live here because you'll ruin it for the foreigners that are already here. How does Bang Na compare to nearby areas where there are a lot of expats and foreigners living? Well, it's a lot more laid back than Udom Suk. It's a lot friendlier than On Nut, which has become so overcrowded with foreigners now that it's almost unbearable, let's be honest. It's a lot less pretentious than Punawiti, the Airbnb ghetto for farangs, and also a digital nomad hangout. So naturally a lot less tossers around here than Punawiti. Some of you may agree or disagree with that. A lot less hectic than Prakanong, an area I've always thought was okay. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where Bang Na stands next to those other areas. So this sign here with a 0 on it marks the very beginning of Bang Na Trap Road, or Highway 34, and it goes from here 58 kilometres all the way to the Nong Mai Deng intersection in Chonburi. The road then continues as Sukhumvit Road, and if you follow it all the way to the end, you'll come to the Klong Yai border checkpoint with Cambodia. But today we're not going that far, we're only going about 3 kilometres. Well, if I lived in Bang Na, and that is a big if, this is where I would come shopping. Central Bang Na department store and mall. They've also got a top supermarket and a food court downstairs. There's a big sea further down the road. We're about 3.5 kilometres from Bang Na intersection, so if you're living around there, it is a bit far to come for a stroll, so you probably have to get a taxi. Some of you might be wondering about the world famous Mega Bang Na. That is not actually in Bang Na. It's about 10 kilometres further down Bang Na Trap Road in Samut Prakan province, so I certainly won't be going there in this video. "20 years ago, I rented a room in Bang Na at a place called the Avana Hotel, and I've come back today to have a look around the area after 20 years, and it looks pretty much the same. I remember these streets, I remember this bridge, I remember this canal, and 2004 I was living in Pattaya for most of that year at a place called the Lakeside Hideaway. and it was a closed down resort on the dark side, miles away from Sukhumvit. But it was nice, it had a big lake there. And I was coming to Bangkok a couple of times a month to do DJ jobs. And when a mate of mine was working in this area, his office was nearby here, I thought a great compromise would be to rent a place here so I could come up twice a month, stay here, and also visit him. So I ended up at the Havana Hotel. It was 6,000 baht a month, but it was a pain in the arse going out to find food. You had a central department store about 1.5 kilometers away, but at night the nearest place was 13 Coins Restaurant Resort, if you remember some of those places back in the day. And my favourite thing off the menu was calf's liver with onions and gravy, so interesting memories. Well, I've been walking all day, I've been filming all day, I'm a bit tired, I'm getting hungry, and I was thinking, where could I eat? Then I remembered there is a restaurant not too far away from here that was in the Guinness Book of Records back in the 1990s as the biggest restaurant in the world, and if I remember correctly, it's just up the road here. Well, this is where it was. The Golden Dragon Seafood Restaurant is no more. It closed in 2022. It's now a Home Pro, and it opened in 1991. A year after it opened, it was in the Guinness Book of Records as the biggest restaurant in the world. It had 5,000 seats, and to get around the tables fast enough, the staff had to adopt some pretty unorthodox methods. Luckily, I was already on my way to Home Pro because I need some masonry drill bits and sandpaper. And will I see the staff speeding around on roller skates in there? Or will they be doing what they normally do, which is following me around or just standing around on their phones? Just kidding, of course. All the staff in Home Pro are lovely. I know it's a bit of a cliche to say this, but whenever you walk into a temple, you're always overcome by peace, quiet and tranquility wherever you are in Bangkok. But I suppose that's the idea, because those are ideal conditions for meditation. But this temple is more than just the usual monastery, crematorium, golden shrines and a bunch of monks. This actually has a miniature zoo, some fantastic street art and the local Bang Na Museum. Right up until the 1980s, there were rice paddies around Bang Na, and these cast iron buffaloes serve as a nod to the area's agricultural past, when it wasn't unusual to see buffaloes roaming along the roadsides. In fact, many temples around here still keep buffaloes and other animals. And that got me thinking. I filmed a whole variety of different animals in Bang Na over the last couple of weeks, probably more than any other area I've explored. So I thought, let's have a tribute to the animals of Bang Na to a piece of music. Well, so far you've probably got a good idea of what the area is like. You've seen the chaos, you've heard the noise, so why the hell would you want to come and live around here? Actually, this area does have some nice parts to it, and I'm going to show you 10 condos around the district that might just blow the wind up your skirt. Sampawat Soi 2 is a nice looking tree-lined street. It's got apartment buildings on both sides that look like they're all built by the same developer. The downside is the location. You will need those green trees to soak up the pollution and the CO2, and hopefully the noise, because it's right next to the expressway. And I get the impression that if you move to this location, then you want that convenience of being able to get on and off the expressway quickly, because there is an access point at the top of the road. Some of the apartments actually have a direct view onto the expressway, so the key word here is constant noise, and that is reflected in the monthly rental costs. So for the first time on YouTube, I give you Sampawat. It's in a far-flung corner of Bang Na district near the river. And I was here a few days ago when I took the boat from Bang Na Nok Pier across to Bangkok Island. And next to the pier is a temple, and I didn't have a look around it. So that is where we're going to start today. Further up Sampawat Road, you can see the big tall chimney. That was part of the old Bang Na Glass Company, and these gates have been closed for business for the last 15 years. The area is used to park trucks nowadays. Further up, you've got the old Thai plywood factory. They closed in 2012. So two big factories here that are no longer doing business, which means there's a lot of empty land on this side of Sanpawat Road. And I was reading recently that Chang Brewery have bought up all this land and they're probably going to build another brewery. Sanpawat intersection, very busy here, lots of trucks turning, and the road that goes across is Patnam Old Railway Road. That is the literal translation of it, and it's a road that follows the old course of the Patnam Railway, and I want to go about 300 metres southbound along that. And there is a historic location which might be a bit exciting if you're a railway fan. Is it worth me moaning about this pavement? Probably not, because I know you've heard it all before, and I'm not the only one in Bangkok at this moment trying to negotiate a dodgy pavement. There are thousands suffering just like me. Anyway, last night I was looking at Google Maps and I zoomed down into this yard here and I caught a glimpse of some classic cars, but I couldn't zoom any further to see what they were, so I'm going to go and have a quick look around. Hopefully there's no security. So just by this bridge here is the former location of Bang Na railway station, which was on the old Patnam railway. This was a line that ran between Hualompong and Patnam, and it was opened in 1893 by the Patnam Railway Company. They were a Danish company who operated the line until 1936, when it was handed over to the State Railway of Thailand. They ran it until its closure in 1960. So this line went from Hualompong through Saladeng, Klong Toi, Prakanong, Bang Chak, Bang Na, Samrong, and then Patnam. There were lots of little stations in between as well. And after it closed, they ripped up all the infrastructure, the tracks, demolished the station so quickly that within a year there was absolutely no trace of it left whatsoever, just like now. But you do have the old Patnam Railway Road, which follows the old route, and there are a couple of memorials to it, one at Patnam and one at Hualompong. So there's a bit of history for you railway fans. Well, this is as far as I'm going along the old Patnam Railway Road. I think it's actually the next district anyway, past this bridge. And this is the bridge over the Klong Bang Or Canal. And of course, this is another canal I can tick off my long list of canals I've visited around Bangkok. Still hundreds to go, of course. As you know, I always explore canals wherever I am in the city, and this is another one I can tick off my long list of canals visited in Bangkok. So according to the map, the Klong Bang Na does go all the way to the river, but I'm not sure the towpath does. So we're going to see how far that goes, and along the way, I'm sure there'll be one or two places worth exploring. Well, this is as far as the towpath goes, and there's a huge condo being built right here. And if you've got a unit on this side, you'd overlook the canal here, which might be nice, but one of the downsides would be these chickens would wake you up in the morning. There's loads of them running around on the canal bank. But I've just noticed the biggest, noisiest one over there is having a bit of exercise. Well, that just about wraps up our look around Bang Na district. I hope you're still awake. I hope you've enjoyed it, found it interesting and possibly educational. Please do subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you want to support me and support the channel, you can do so via the Buy Me a Coffee link on the screen here. That just leaves me to say what I always say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you sooner than you think.